How's your gargoyle shrine working out for you?
So far, the Gargoyle Shrine has been keeping the ghost out. I don't know if that's because there's a lack of presence of ghost or if it actually works, but as long as there's no ghost, I'm okay.
Why are you trying to be rid of the ghost?
Well, I'm not really trying to be rid of it. I just don't want it in here. This is my ghost-free room because I got a lot of electronics in here, and according to modern day mythos, ghosts tend to fuck up electronics. So I want to avoid that.
Setting reasonable boundaries. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime the light flickers in the bedroom, I'll speak to her, him, it. I don't know. Do ghosts have gender?
Amanda's do.
Yeah. The ones that we had at my house, there was an older man and a young girl.
Oh, so they retained that much of their consciousness.
Yeah, well, those did at least, because like I had seen the girl down the hallway and I've seen the man at my bedroom door. And they were never, I never felt evil. I never felt issues. I always would I would talk to them. It's like, listen, y'all, I'm cool with y'all staying here. We can all live here harmoniously. Please don't fuck with me. That's all I ask. And like they never did. And like the couple of times that like the craziest was where the girl kissed the mirror. There was this hallway mirror on the door, and there were these like kiss marks went straight across. And it was on a night that I had a really bad headache, kept pacing up and down the hallway. And I swear everyone said that they didn't do it. It seemed like a really weird position where it was. And you know,
because your son Cash wasn't tall enough, right?
My son wasn't tall enough yet. The adults wouldn't have bent down. Like even if you got on your knees, it still wasn't the right height. Like it was just, it was like the height of a child.
So you legit had haunting sign.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it wasn't just me. Like anybody who came to the house always had the experience. Especially you could hear the back door slam, like it had been open, slammed, closed. And we're like, did somebody walk in? And we go check it. The door's closed and locked. So I don't know if it, you know, like in their realm or reality or whatever dimension they're in, that they are able to slam the door and we hear it, or I don't know how that works, but we were all cool. Like someone tried to say, oh, you should get like there's these group of ladies that can like exercise them, get them out. I'm like, nah, I'm cool that we can all chill here. I don't mind. They don't have to leave. I don't know how long they've been here. I came after.
Exactly. If
but
the
like,
ghost
you know,
is
let's
cool,
just not get crazy. Yeah, exactly. As long as the ghost is cool. So again, you know, you're setting healthy boundaries. I like it.
Well, when I've never really been I've always been a skeptic, I should say. I've had a few experiences that are unexplainable. I had a sleep paralysis moment where I'm on the bed and I actually feel the bed depress under the weight of someone. And I look up and it's just a shadowy blank face. And like I kind of broke the sleep paralysis. Now, I'll preface this story. It seems very significant to me because I was there. But
sure, yeah.
So I was living in the attic room of my dad's house that he built. My closet had access to like the actual attic proper, where they had the exhaust fan and everything. So I could open that door up to suck the heat out of my room out into the outside. Well, after the sleep, like I had slept with the door open so that I had the circulating air. And after the sleep paralysis wore off, the door was closed and latched. And it was one of those little hook and eye, not hook and eye, but the sliding locks. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It had one of those on the attic door. So it wasn't like it just blew closed or anything. Like something had to close it and slide that latch home. And I didn't do it. I didn't think any of my parents had done it. So there was that experience. So I've always like had a maybe. I would hope to. I hope that I can one day find proof of an afterlife in the form of an extra dimensional spirit. That would be dope. So when I moved to this apartment, and my bedroom light is the only light that does this, it'll flicker. It'll get brighter, and then it'll flicker, and then get dimmer. And I was like, okay, so old apartment, there's some electrical problems. I was passing by my downstairs neighbor, and they said, hey, do you have like a dog or kids that are home when you leave? And I'm like, no, I live by
Frakes
myself.
is very lonely, so he doesn't have either.
No, Frakes prefers solitude, so he doesn't have either. But yeah, I told them, I'm like, no. And they're like, well, just so you know, somebody was murdered in your apartment before you moved in. I was like, oh, they didn't disclose that when I signed the paperwork.
Wow. Yeah. News to me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, that's great.
So this is a thing.
Yeah. So as I was leaving, I was like, well, I'll just go upstairs and let the ghost know to chill out when I'm not here. And from that point forward, I just started having a conversation. Whenever my light would flicker, I would just be like, hey, what up? I'm gonna go watch some anime. You can join me in the living room, but you know,
Nice.
don't fuck with my shit and we'll be cool.
Exactly.
So if there's a ghost here, that would be kind of cool to have a conversation with it. You hear me? Talking to you.
Well, okay, out of curiosity, so based off the experiences, multiple experiences that you've had, what is it that's holding you back from believing that that's what it is?
Oh, I won't believe anything unless I see it 3 or 4 times, just because I'm just that kind of person. Like, I didn't think that Noob
That's
was
fair.
my friend. I'm still not sure if Noob is really my friend.
Sure I am.
But it's
I'm like
just
a ghost.
one of
You
those
can't get rid
things.
of me.
That's
Like herpes.
mildly ominous. No, but I don't know what it is. I used to believe hard in all kinds of shit, mostly the Bible, and I got sucked into a cult and spent 8 years there, and that sort of broke my belief button for a while when I got
I hope so.
disillusioned by that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a huge awakening when you realize like your life and a lot of stuff you've been taught is a lie. I come from that world too, so I totally understand. Like I went to a private Christian school. My graduating class was 20 kids and we were the big class. Like
Ooh.
a lot of us have known and grown up with each other since first grade. Like it was so indoctrinated into our lives. And like when you finally wake up and realize, holy shit, this is really just a way to use people. And like you talk about being sheep or the sheeple, like this is really a way to get people to listen. And like, you know,
That's why most
and
religions
then
refer
like, oh shit, like what else is not true? What else is a lie? What else is, you know, so I get it for sure.
Well, I think that's a very good point you made about sheeple. That's why most religions refer to their congregation
Flock.
as sheep, flock,
Yep.
herd animals of some kind, because they're just being fleeced. Another sheep pun. Yeah, it's I felt brainwashed. And it was absolutely by choice. It wasn't like I was kidnapped or brought into it. I was in a new city and didn't have any friends. And this, looking back, I know I've told this story here before, but the dude was weird. And I was like, oh, well, weird dude. I'm a weird dude. Hey, this will be fun.
Let's shoot some hoops.
Yeah, we'll play some basketball and study the Bible.
That's actually what happened, which made me laugh.
100%
No, that's the
what
thing,
happened.
right? Like they use that. That's how a lot of cults work, right? Like they make it appealing, like come and they appeal to more lonely people or people who don't feel like they have a connection. Like come hang with us, look at us. We're all having a great time because of these values we're learning. Like you get to make friends
with love.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds amazing, you know, and then like I said, or like you said, once you get in there, it's like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
It's an eye opener. So I mean,
It took me 8 years
finally
to open my eyes, though. 8 years of having them check my W-2s to make sure I was tithing appropriately.
no wow.
Cults are businesses.
Mhm.
People forget
Well,
that point.
religions are businesses. Any religion that says, "Hey, give us your money," in my opinion, that's a business and it should be taxed appropriately. But we're not getting into politics on Noob Show. That's one of our hard and fast rules here.
Yeah, because we actually got our first bad review from his mother.
Yeah.
She's great. Yeah. I love Miss Mary.
She was like, she said, boys, I cannot listen to this. You will never make me like this show. I was like, all right, we lost mom.
I mean, listen, I cold opened the show last week with, and that's why beating off in the shower is the best.
Oh God.
And instead of letting that go as one should, one with class and quality, I expounded on the conversation because I was yes-anding. You know, it's the first rule of improv, yes and. Mm-hmm. So I was just rolling with the punches that Noob threw.
I'm actually kind of glad you brought up Christianity because I started listening to A Fool's Guide to the Occult. And they were just talking through stuff, and they got to a point about Christianity and the non-canonical books of the Bible that nobody talks about.
Oh, yeah, the Gnostic Bible, Gnostic verses, and the Apocrypha.
Yeah, there's like 75 books of the Bible that just aren't in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When the Nicene Creed ratified the actual Bible itself, what we know of as the Bible, they got rid of most of the writings of Solomon. They cut out a lot of the Gnostic scripture, which is do good and good will happen to you. And they just, like, there were demon summoning guides in the Book of Solomon.
Lesser Tome of Solomon?
Lesser Key of Solomon.
Key. Sorry, I've never heard about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating that these are actual occult books, and they were originally part of this religion that burned people at the stake for occultism. It's like, come on, guys, get your consistency straight here. Pick a path and stick to it.
They actually mention a lot in the Bible the first woman, Lilith, which Frakes, I don't know if you ever heard.
Oh, I'm familiar with the Jewish mythology of Lilith. That was originally like Israelite mythology, and it was basically a keep your woman in check story because she did not.
Females, man, they just don't fucking cooperate sometimes. Bitches be thinking shit.
You gotta beat them like an ox to keep them in line.
Well, yeah, we're definitely not. Some of us are not as good at being those kinds of sheep.
Well, I don't know if you heard, I'm going to tell you, the book of Lilith, essentially, Lilith was made from the same dirt that Adam was, so he was the equal. Well, the biggest fallout came when they were deciding who was going to be on top, literally. I think Lilith was like, no, me. And now she's married to Satan and is the mother of demons.
Well, it was more of a, she wanted a voice. She wanted to be equal. And God was like, no, you can't be equal. You don't have a penis.
There's a similar Indian mythology story. There's all these podcasts that I listen to, and especially Duncan Trussell. He tells a lot of those stories, but there is a story about a Indian goddess that's essentially wanting to be in power, and they're telling her no because you're a woman, and she's, I think, like a god of spite and anger or something like that. But they have similar stories. Like, that's the crazy thing. A lot of those stories are so fucking similar across religions. Like, it's all like the same kind of story.
Ooh, are we doing theories?
Well, before we go too far down theories, I want to talk about the Jesus myth. And I call it a myth because it has occurred 256 different times throughout different religions, going all the way back to before Egypt was Egypt, when it was still the northern and southern kingdoms of, I can't remember what it was called before it was Egypt, but there were two
Maria?
separate kingdoms. And I want to say Ra or Horus. I can't quite remember off the top of my head now because I'm not a
Is the sun
theologian.
god.
Yeah, but it was one of them did all the three big miracles, walked on water, rose the dead, and restored sight to the blind. Dionysus did the same thing. I can't remember them all right now. I remember watching a documentary way back in the day about this and how the whole mythology of the Son of God dying and rising from the dead 3 days later is just an allegory to explain why there's a day that the sun doesn't rise as high as it normally does. The winter equinox. I just find that fascinating.
Persephone's the one in Greek, right? Where
Persephone is the one who got stuck in Hades. She's married to Hades.
Yes.
She got stuck
it's
in the
actually
underworld.
what you were saying.
She
It's the
was
same.
like a flower goddess or something. Ow,
It's
she
the-
was a fertility goddess, wasn't she?
Well, she's the seasons when
Yeah.
because she belongs with the people on Earth. That's spring and summer, and when she's leaving, it's fall and winter.
Okay, yeah.
Because she's got to split her time now between
her time, between her
a
husband
surface
and her
world and the underworld.
Yeah,
And that's another thing about like the evolution of religions, how hell has become eternal punishment, when originally Sheol and
what'd you say?
Gomorrah? Sheol, Sheol, the original Judeo.
Oh yeah, that's that yeah.
It's just the underworld. It's just when after you die, you just live in the surface of the earth. Basically, you live under the surface of the
just
earth.
barely got to tap into Judaism with the woman I used to live with. She was a Jew, and it was so fascinating to me. I wish I could have learned more because it's really interesting. But some of these things you were talking about sound familiar from what she had said too.
One of my favorite things about being a skeptical person is diving into mythology with that mindset and going, oh, I'm not going to hold this close to my heart, but it's fascinating to see how many overlaps there are.
Exactly.
You speak of that, and something I like is with the Bible, they talk about all the steps that Jesus did. Well, what they fail to mention is that part of the Bible was written 100 to 200 years after he was, dead and did all his shit.
Yes. All the Gospels, I think, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. John is the one that is the farthest removed from the actual quote unquote life, if there ever was a Yeshua from Nazareth. The book of John is farthest removed, I think 190 years after the death of that said prophet, which is why the stories are so much more, all the Gospels have similar stories, but John is the most embellished. It's the most bombastic versions of it, because the story kept getting retold, and every time you tell a fishing story, the fish gets bigger.
Of course.
Well, a great way to think about that is think of what's those things called? Chuck Norris jokes.
Yeah, Chuck Norris jokes. They always
200 years from now, people are not going to know who he is and think he's incredible.
Yeah, they're gonna
really think he's a god.
Yeah, if they discover our terabytes of knowledge of the internet, somehow doing cyber archaeology, that's going to be a thing one day. Cyber archaeology.
The other cool one is theories about Jesus. I got two more. One I heard recently that they talk about how Jesus possibly could have just been the Buddha living his life, and that's where he wandered and started teaching, because their teachings are very similar, just more tailored.
Okay, they're okay when you shed all of the dogma and all of the shit that bogs down Christianity, and like take Christianity to its core values. That is very similar to Buddhism.
No, you
Right.
know what I'm
Let's not
saying.
confuse. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, look, but you gotta make sure to make that
Mhm.
clear, because that's a big difference.
The
'Cause, like,
spirit of the teaching.
okay, so like the do good deeds, don't be jealous,
Don't be a
don't
dick.
covet. Yeah, exactly. It's in those basic concepts. But yeah, the things that I'm learning and reading and delving into refer to Jesus and Buddha and the I can't remember
Which way?
the one in Hare Krishna or something, or the big guy for India. They were
Vishnu?
called the Great Guru. I don't remember.
Well, Vishnu, I believe, is the destroyer god.
I say he's
That's
actually
that one.
this one's a human. It was like a
Krishna.
person who really helped. Yeah, maybe that.
Yeah, Hare Krishna was a cult in the early 70s, which was kind of Hindu-y, but much more so give us your money. But Krishna is it the Bhagavad Gita? Oh, I know I'm talking with so much authority about these things that I really am.
Yeah, none of us are.
A lot of this out of my ass.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like it's like it all's connected. Like I know these words.
I know that these words are part of this.
They're all considered. They were the thing I'm reading says that they're considered the great gurus. They were enlightened ones, ones who have become enlightened, that could pass on, that could ascend, that could go to the next dimension or next whatever it is, but they choose to be reincarnated and keep coming back to help people. And so people like Jesus Christ, Buddha, the Indian guy, I'm so sorry, I don't know which one it is, but they're the ones trying to come back and continue to help people by teaching the same teachings like meditation, self-awareness. These things have been going on for thousands and thousands of years, and they're being retaught in different ways, different languages, different religions. This religion takes it this way and perverses it, and this religion takes it that way and does its thing, and but the core values are all still the same.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And
just
the
chill.
followers
Worry about
of these,
yourself.
focus on, honestly, a lot of it comes down to breathing, like meditation. And honestly, there's so many problems that could just be solved by focusing on your breathing. You're pissed off at somebody, take a deep breath and hold it for 5 seconds, then let it out.
Well, essentially, that's what prayer is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Prayer sort of kind of like Christianity's way of being still, being silent, thanking, don't ask for too much, thank God for what you have, pray for the goodwill of other people, good positive things like being still and not talking. It's just not geared in the right direction. Obviously, it's geared towards others when it should be geared inward.
Well, I think the biggest problem with prayer is it's too active in your brain. You still feel like you're doing something. Therefore, you don't actually have to do anything. Thoughts and prayers is the most useless thing that you can give someone because it gives them nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
And when you sit there and you think, oh, I really hope that this goes this way and that goes this way, and I'm very thankful for this, you're missing the core benefit of meditation, which is blanking your mind, turning your forebrain off so that your instincts and your guiding energy, for lack of a better word, can take over your higher mind, as they call it. And I don't know if I believe in that either. Like I said, I'm very skeptical. I went on to Kentucky for an ayahuasca trip, hoping to find some level of enlightenment. And I was just kind of like, all right, well, I am high as balls. And I kind of feel a little sickly and particularly, but I'm not really getting that enlightenment. I'm just going to breathe and be. And I feel like I'm talking a whole lot here, but I've got all these thoughts popping in my head. I said I wasn't going to be talking very much, but here I am just bleh.
Yeah.
No, go
You say
ahead.
that, but you and Terrence say that shit all the time. Oh, I don't have much to talk about, and then y'all can just fucking go.
That's I'm like an introverted extrovert. I am either like a Buddhist monk who's taken a 40-year vow of silence, or I'm like a cokehead at a party talking about cryptocurrency. I will not shut up. It's no in between. It's off or on. And tonight, apparently, it's on.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, before I forget, I do want to talk about the other Jesus theory. Before you do it. The Gnostics believe that Jesus was possibly the serpent in the Garden of Eden. He wanted them to have knowledge. He believes that people deserve that.
And I see now why the Nicene Council would have removed that from
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
Bible.
Well, they never
Official.
they never said it's a theory people talk about.
Right.
But never once in the Bible they never say the serpent's the devil. They just call it a serpent.
Yeah.
So it's not too far off.
Satan and the devil never pop up in the Old Testament until you get to the book of Job, which is
Really?
where, yeah, check it out. They talk about the enemy, but they don't really refer to the enemy as anything specific. That could be anything from a warring nation next door. But in the book of Job,
That's the devil.
yeah, when you got wolves at your gate, the wolves are the scariest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But in the book of Job, Satan pops up and he's like, hey, and God says, where you been? Like, like buddies. And it shows that in that mythology, Satan never did anything without God's approval first. Because he was like, hey, can I touch Job and make him curse your name? See if he'll curse your name. And God's like, no. Don't touch him. Just murder his entire family and destroy his livelihood.
Yeah,
That's fine. Yeah.
Cool.
And then Satan was like, dope, let's do that. And then when Job still doesn't say God's bad, Satan goes, well, can I touch him now? Yeah. Push him as far as you can possibly push him to the limits, because I'm a good, all-knowing, all-benevolent God. Really? That's terrible. Oh, anyway.
And you're missing the best part of that story. So at the end, Job is like, oh, God,
yeah.
I did all this. I get it, whatever. But like, why? And then God goes, how dare you? How dare you ask that question?
How
Until
dare
you have a
ask?
mind like me, you can't ask that question, which implies that Mormons are correct and we get our own planets after we're done being human.
That's very possible. Ugh, terrifying.
Very human response.
Yeah, doesn't it? Old Testament God's like a dude who's like angry all the time.
Yeah. And it also kind of illustrates that God lived in a box. The Ark of the Covenant was where God lived, and he could not act.
Apartment.
Yeah, it was God's apartment. It was his flat. But he couldn't act outside of it beyond a certain radius.
Who was that comedian? God is a 7-year-old autistic boy.
I do not know.
It works though, if you think about it. Worship me.
You've ruined my routine. Now I'm going to flood your planet because I'm mildly upset.
Yeah, that's what God did.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I made all these trees. You can touch them, but not that one.
Not that one. That one's special. You see how good that fruit looks? Don't eat it. Because it says in the book that he made it to look appealing. Why? Make it smell like shit and look like dog vomit. If you don't want us to touch it, unless it's just a test. If it's just a test, then you're a huge dick.
Yeah. Which, listen, I like to believe that the fruit on the tree was mushrooms because it gave us knowledge.
Mm-hmm. I love that too.
Yeah.
There's apparently a whole bunch of mushroom like stuff on a lot of old Christian art, like art for Christianity or whatever, that got banned and taken away because they were blaming that mushrooms were again waking people up to like, oh my gosh, this is not the truth. Like this is a lie, whatever.
Why am I giving these people my gold?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, oh shit, they're not gonna listen to us anymore, guys. They can't have this. This is bad.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm with Mikey. That's a pretty interesting theory. May not be a tree at all.
Just one really big psilocybin.
Well, you say that too. The other day, I had a revelation. Like they talk about like Buddhists and stuff. When we die, we join the oneness of the unit. What is mycelium but just one big old brain?
Yep. Well, I will say that
bodies
about ayahuasca. About 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, I felt the connections still. Like I picked up a random dude walking down the road. His name is Deshaun. I have his phone number still.
Yes.
Because I was like, hey, brother, what's up, man?
Yeah.
He's like, hi. I'm like, get in. I'm taking you down the road. He goes, okay.
And read the Bible.
Yeah. No, man, it makes you like want to connect with people. Like you really truly understand that we are all one. We're all the same. We're just different experiences as a whole. Like it's just so cool. So like when you see that, you just tend to be more naturally friendly.
Yep.
Like you just want to help people. You just want to be there. Like, oh wow, like that's a part of me. Let me help that part of me by helping the person. Like it really does. It shows those connections to you. Which, like Mikey says, it's just like mycelium. Like I'm really starting to believe that big time. We are all just one. We are all freaking connected.
We're particles of the universe experiencing itself.
Exactly.
In this particular moment in time. And when we die, if there is more beyond it, then I believe we're just recycled back into the time stream, and we might end up as trees. We might end up as, technically our atoms will definitely end up as mostly dirt unless we get cremated. Then we'll become part of the soil.
I want to be taken to the top of a mountain and let the birds eat me.
Oh, sky burial. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Feed me. Let me feed things. There's a lot of me. I could probably feed a whole pack of wolves for a week.
Right.
Inoculate me with mushroom spores.
Enlighten the wildlife.
Right.
But that's a flyby 30 minutes. Frakes.
Yeah, that was quick.
Oh wow.
I don't really want to end the show. I'm enjoying this conversation.
Well, we can do this again at another date. I need to get her headphones. You just borrow Jason's.
What?
Jay headphones and microphones once every so often.
Okay. I didn't even know we were going to do this. So I was, hey,
surprise!
I need you for minutes. Okay. Yeah.
I know Frakes works with you guys worked well together. I know that.
Yeah, it was good,
awesome talking
we played
with
off each other. Yes, I enjoyed this as well. And if you've enjoyed this,
unlike his mother.
Unlike my mother, who we will never get to like the show. She said it in our YouTube comments. But check us out on YouTube. Check out homebrewdetritus.com. We've got this show, our other shows, cartoons. You can sign up for our Patreon. We'll send you fucking stickers. We've got merch on Redbubble and Streamlabs, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
We'll be doing live streams every other weeks here shortly. Look out for RPG Revolver. That's coming soon-ish. Keep an eye out for it.
Next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after.
Or the Wednesday after that. Or after that.
Here's a little secret. I'm doing a Christmas show and they're going to kill Santa. Or at least try.
We'll try. I don't know how else to close this out aside from don't be dicks, y'all. Love each other. We're all the same thing.
Yeah, man. Focus on yourself. Love yourself. Don't worry what the other person's doing. You just worry about you and love you.
That other person is you. So
exactly.
be kind.
Be a mushroom.
Bye.